Hi there everyone, I'm Alison Reeves, registered clinical counselor in this lovely oceanside area of Vancouver Island. You know, I'm just thrilled to have moved up here. After 18 years down in Victoria as a therapist, it was great. I loved living down in Victoria. However, this was a really good move for me and I'm very pleased with it. So in this 15-minute video that I'm going to be talking to you about, it's all about language. Now, language is a really big deal. As a therapist, I want you to know something. We actually believe what we hear. I know, whether it's outwardly or whether it's inwardly. And by the way, yes, we all do talk to ourselves, and we're not psychotic. Language really, really matters. And frequently, we just forget that. And we don't think about it. We get a bit short with ourselves and with other people. Or we find it difficult to actually describe things. We find it difficult to communicate. And I'm going to have another video on communication. However, this one I really want to speak about language with you. And I'm speaking as somebody with a chronic physical illness, so I'm going to be rather candid with you. It's going to be you and I talking about this, okay, or you listening and me talking. What I want you to realize is there are certain words that are very powerful for us that can really bring us down inadvertently and aren't necessarily accurate. They might be, however, they might not be. One of them is the word no, and the other one is the word yes. When we find ourselves always using the word no or always using the word yes, we're out of sync with things. I actually want you to be making some choices because in language, what we're doing is when we're trying to do that Pollyanna thing of always positive thinking, much as there's a lot to be said that's positive about that or that's healthy about it, it's also got some negative overtones. It tends to make us feel worse the more we say things like, I can get over this, I can get through this, this will go away, or whatever. What we want to do, and this is all about language, okay, and there's been a lot of research on this, so bear with me as I talk about it. So you want to pair a negative, every time we have a negative thought or whatever, it's really helpful to use the word and then link it with a positive thought. Because what happens is with our memory, remember you're a human being first and foremost, then Parkinson's has happened. So even though I'm screwing up royally these days, I'm going to get through this. Now there's no and in that one. However, what it's doing is it's linking the two. Even though I can't seem to speak correctly, it's still worthwhile that I try. It's still worthwhile that I attempt to communicate. Really good stuff. Okay, so you're linking. You're not getting caught in the downward spiral of feeling sorry for yourself, feeling angry at the Parkinson's, feeling very isolated, believing that no one can help you, believing that no one can understand, believing that you're invisible in the world. For example, I could be quite wrong. I don't know what your particular thoughts are. However, it's a really great idea to start paying attention to what your thoughts are saying. And then, this is a really cool thing. It's to actually ask yourself, how old do I feel? When you have that internal dialogue, it's usually things like, oh, you idiot, or well done. I feel like we have both sides, right? Well, keep the well done. Keep that. However, if it's pejorative or if it's snarky or if it's condescending or if it's patronizing or if it's sarcastic or anything like that, I really do want you to just take it a little bit further and simply ask yourself, how old do you feel? Okay? And also ask yourself, how do I feel when I hear that? Because what goes on is that we do, even if we don't think we do, we actually do believe what we hear. We believe what we say as well. And that's why language really matters. If you think about it, we would never turn to a child in general purposefully telling them that they're really stupid. We might yell that when we're in anger, or hopefully you wouldn't, however, you might do that. When we hear other people doing that, we feel awkward and embarrassed frequently and appalled, because we know that that's not good. We know that kid isn't going to be feeling very good when hearing that, even if they made a really dumb blunder, you know, even if they made a huge boo-boo, even if all sorts of things, you know, actually happened that we realize, yeah, that wasn't the greatest thing. However, screaming at a kid that you're stupid or you're lazy or you're ignorant or something like that doesn't help the situation. Okay? It just doesn't help. So start paying attention to how you lambaste yourself on the inside, and realize that if you can switch your language around even a smidge to becoming more kind, more accepting, what'll happen is that you will feel better. Isn't that wild? It's not a trick either. This is coming back to cognitive therapy, which is, oh, it's been around for decades and decades and decades. One of the things I love about it is that it's a very simple circle, that thoughts lead to feelings, lead to behaviors, lead to thoughts, lead to feelings, lead to behaviors. So we can interrupt them in a variety of places. What's also really nice is you can look at a feeling, like an emotion. Say you're feeling angry or upset or embarrassed or ashamed or guilty or resentful or perplexed or worried. And you can go backwards to actually find out, well, what was I thinking? Okay. And what goes on there is you can challenge yourself frequently, because your thoughts are sometimes really accurate, and sometimes, boy, are they up the wall. They're outdated, they're inaccurate, they're a slur, they're slander, and it's not actually accurate in the slightest. For example, whenever you hear the words always or never, like you'll never get it, you'll never make it out of this, you'll never be happy again, you'll never. When you hear that, believe me when I tell you that most likely you are working yourself up to feeling extremely sad, bad, isolated, about this big, okay? The words never and always are usually pretty good clues. If you hear the words if, that's also a pretty good clue that you're not in actual reality, but you're in some sort of a make-believe storyland. And I find this invaluable, okay? It also really helps us when we have feelings of paranoia or anxiety to really start paying attention to what we're saying, and to be able to realize that even if I'm feeling anxious, even if I'm feeling paranoid, there's really no reason for it. Okay, because remember, one of the things about Parkinson's, as with other chronic diseases, there are certain problems that arise. One of them might be dementia, one of them might be paranoia, one of them might be anxiety, all sorts of different things. Okay, what happens is that we want to realize that that's an earmark of the disease. So we want to come back into our human part and be working with that, because the majority of time, if you can pull yourself away from the disease itself, the way it's working inside your brain, it'll be mucking things up. Believe me, I understand and I accept that. However, what goes on is that we can still work with that good stuff that remains, which is the rest of your healthy brain. Okay, and that's what we want to keep on pulling ourselves towards. We want to be trying to make some meaning and bring us back into being okay as much as we can. I think one of the things that is so difficult to realize is it can be really frustrating, very hard and wearing and tiring, and it's really worth it. Okay, this is the part that most people don't realize. We do need to do the work. Is it fair? Probably not. But fairness isn't part of this. It just is, once we get a disease that has an impact on our central nervous system, it's neurological in nature, it's going to be mucking about with our ability to think and our ability to sense, our ability to move. That's what our central nervous system is all about. So it can affect us in so many different ways. And then, of course, we add medications on top of that. So we have all sorts of things that are at play inside of our body, and we want to just simply tap into that which is with us no matter what, okay? And that's us. Our personalities, our ability to think, our memories, you know, they can get mucked up too. However, what we need to do is pull ourselves away from our disease as much as we can to be able to know that it's quite all right to struggle to feel better. It's really, really worthwhile to work hard at this. I love working with people with chronic physical illness. I just love it because we matter. Just because the Parkinson's has happened, for example, or just because the MS has happened, doesn't mean we can't work with what's real with us being humans. And humans psychologically, our language really, really matters. And kindness is incredible. It has such a positive impact on the rest of our body. It's amazing. Our limbs relax even if the disease makes them tense. Okay, so here we want to be working with doing everything that we can do despite the disease. And what also happens is that we get flooded with endorphins, which are those happy hormones, those happy chemicals that we don't have to even take a shot for or take a pill with. Exercise does that, laughter does that, positive thoughts do that, positive memories do that, anything that makes you smile inwardly. So I really encourage you to be using language that helps you with that. So the idea is you can acknowledge the reality and then add on, okay? So even though I've been flubbing up my videos left, right, and center, I know that I'm an okay person. Even though I'm flubbing up my videos, I can still laugh about it. Even though my eyes feel like I've gone through the Sahara Desert and I don't know if they'll ever feel better, I'm still Allison. So I want you to find the Georgeness of yourself, the Gilness of yourself, the Davidness part of you. I want you to find yourself, in other words, and language really helps us. So even though you might be discovering that your processing ability isn't that great, I love how you can do things like this inside, and perhaps being able to say it to other people is, "Ah, I used to be so intelligent. I'm still pretty good. I used to be fabulous." I mean, like, you can exaggerate it. And that'll actually bring a giggle to mind, because we can get so caught up in feeling overwhelmed and being caught in the problems of the Parkinson's. We want to be finding all those moments where we're not having as many problems. And so what's happening instead of all those problems? That's you, okay? So we want to come back to that part of you, and we want to use the language that reminds you that you still exist. Interesting stuff, language. It's extremely powerful. Frequently we will exaggerate without meaning to, and we will minimize without meaning to. So start to notice your language to see if you're pulling yourself off track, or if something's really quite a bit more accurate. And kind of have fun with language. Start listening to yourself and seeing what helps. Also start to notice other people around you, because you will actually start believing them. You will start taking in what they say. So one of the things about kindness with yourself, if you're more kind with yourself, you tend to be more kind with other people. And that really makes a difference, okay? So, Allison Reeves, registered clinical counselor, and I could talk about this forever and a day. It's such a fascinating topic, and it really does help us learn how to live better with our disease. Thank you.